Yeah.
Welcome to the Greater Victoria Real Estate Show. I'm Jane Johnston, realtor here in Victoria, and this is a show where we cut through the noise and talk about what's actually happening in our local market.
I'm Andrew Plank, also a Victoria realtor. We'll talk stats, timing, neighborhoods, and what we're seeing behind the scenes.
And I'm Jen Lowe, mortgage broker. I'm the numbers person of the group, and I'll chime in with the mortgage side.
Each week, we break down what the market means for you.
All focused right here on Greater Victoria.
No hype, no pressure, just honest conversations, local insight, and practical advice.
Let's get into it.
Hello, how are you, Andrew?
Hello. Hey, good. How are you, Jane?
Good. Welcome. Yeah. We're doing this kind of later than normal because we've both had very busy day. What's going on with you these days?
Well, it's just spent the last couple of days up in Parksville with my colleagues at the real estate board. We just had our mid-year planning. So that took me out of real estate proper and into real estate deep. And now I'm back and trying to catch up. So yeah, I think we've both been really busy. It was hard to get away, actually. I was like bouncing around, we're trying to be offline because you've got important things to do, but really hard when there's a lot of people wanting to buy and sell right now. So, and things to prepare. How about you?
I'm back. I was away and visiting my aunt and taking some time off, and which was last minute, and just really enjoying. You know what? As a realtor, I find we really have a hard time just having a moment to enjoy the moment. So that's what I did.
Good for you. And that's intentional, right? You have to be intentional with taking a moment, because I don't know about you, but I have guilt when I have downtime because I'm self-employed, as are you and every other realtor. So when there's downtime, there's always something more I could be doing. And when you're busy, well, you're busy. So.
Yeah. I had an interesting experience today.
Do tell.
So I'll tell you about it.
Thank you. Let's hear it.
So on the listing side, we just recently did a price reduction, and I was actually disappointed that we did a price reduction, but the sellers were okay with it. Yeah.
You were disappointed on behalf of let's unpack that. Tell me more. And can you tell me more? We have to be careful, right?
Agency it just means like my expectation. So it's been very interesting this spring. I've had some challenging listings, and then in the end, I've ended up getting the sellers what they wanted for their sale price. But that's not always the case with what's happening in real estate. And so sometimes we expect the market to go a certain way. Yeah. We know the value of a product, and so we expect it to sell at a certain price. And so we have expectations on ourselves about what we think the value should be. And meanwhile, these sellers had an epiphany that what they're purchasing has also gone down in value. So they were looking at relative value moving across the market.
Yeah. And I've seen the other side of that too, when clients are buying and the value of their property has gone up so much that when they've sold their property and bought something here, let's say they were moving from Vancouver, they don't mind that they paid above asking in multiple offers and maybe even above market because they got what they perceived as above market on their sale as well. I've seen that happen a few times. But I think what you're experiencing, something I've been experiencing lately, which is, we work really hard when we're meeting with our clients to come up with a really good market evaluation to give them great advice for listing a home. And of course, the market can change. It's never a fixed point price. These things change, but the market hasn't changed significantly, at least not in our perception, in the last few months in terms of way up or way down. There's certainly segments of the market that buyers are in or not in, for example, but it hasn't shifted significantly. And yet the prices that I've recommended to my clients that I thought, this will be a good marketable price. We're going to get activity. We're going to get showings. We're going to have discussions with interested buyers potentially, and there's a reasonable chance of an offer in a short time. Crickets, right? And what's with that?
I think it speaks to just timing. So, for instance, previously when I've been in previous years, February has been a really, really big month for me. I've sold 11 or 12. And this year I just found it's being a lot quieter, and the whole spring is being quieter. But it's not that the buyers aren't out there. It's just that it feels like it's all being delayed.
The buyers are out there, but I'm working with them. I'm showing them properties and I'm talking to them on the daily basis. But when showing properties, that's in a different market, you'd show these two properties and they'd be just absolutely lucky to be able to see those two properties and not have offers on them, for example, in certain markets. In this case, they're going to look at them and this is, the best thing you've shown them in months, and yet they're still going to find things to find fault with, and it's not necessarily price. And they're looking for that home that is absolutely perfect home.
The unicorn.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I have conversations with my clients. We want to find them the best chance of a home for them, but trying to find 100% is that is a unicorn. That's needle in a haystack, and that may never come about. So being happy with 85, 90, 95%, that's still, let's go for an A, right? Let's go for 86 plus. But
that's so funny you say that. It's true. So, and to me, 80% is really good, because there's going to be something that's going to be that matches. You're going to have give and take. So you have to determine what's a need and what's a want and where that fits in with one another. Anyway, it was just interesting because they, unbeknownst to me, had just an epiphany. And so today we had a discussion about it. And meanwhile, other people, they aren't considering that what they want is also going down. You need to look at
the delta,
the whole market.
The delta. I've seen this is again a different example of a similar similar scenario where a client's interested in buying a home, and the sellers of that home have an offer on, and let's say are subject to sale on a different home. Or no, let's say I'm representing the sellers of this home that we're getting an offer from a buyer, and the buyers are coming in well off what my clients had expected. And and it's the only offer we've seen, let's say. And so we would really like to make this work, but let's say, for example, that we're $25,000 apart from where these sellers are and the buyers are, because the sellers that I'm representing have got an offer on a different property. And that property that they already have a fixed price on, let's say, they've negotiated a price on that. In order for them to make those numbers work, they can't take there's a $25,000 difference. They need 25,000 more. So some people would say, that's it. We've reached an impasse. We can't go any further. Other agents might say, well, there's no harm in approaching the sellers, the first property that my clients are looking to buy and are selling their home because of they wanting to buy this, to say, look, we've been on market a while. You've been on market a while. You haven't gotten a different offer to bump our offer. We could do business if you're willing to adjust your price by, the 25,000 that is the delta, is the difference we're at. Are you willing to have that discussion? And sometimes people are.
Yeah. I found when we got into real estate in 2006, we entered into kind of a down period. That happened a lot around 2009. Yeah.
You have to get creative to find other ways around where the impasses are happening.
Yeah. So. And I think the secret is always realize, what is it? What is the block that's happening, and how do we resolve the issue? If we can figure out what the problem is, let's get the issue resolved. Okay. Let's talk.
Let's get into it. We said this was going to be a quick one.
Okay. So Jen's not here today. We are doing this quite late. We're just going to do the week
through no fault of Jen's. I think she was available yesterday when we normally do this, but neither of us were. So it was either going to be the Jen show yesterday, or no show, or now Jane and I are here. So.
Okay, so I'll do this one. 7 days, 472 new listings this past month. And actually, from when we looked at this morning, it had gone up significantly. This is compared to 392 for this week, for last week. Sorry. We have 207 pending, which is higher than last week. So we have more listings coming on the market, more relative pendings happening. That's compared to 150 the week before, which was after a long weekend. And price decreases were at 221. That is very high. And that's compared to 159 the week before, and expireds were at 61. I feel we're coming to a time when you enter June where people realize, okay, we have 3 or 4 months left of a really strong market.
You think from June there's 3 or 4 months of strong market? Are you saying the summer is strong market?
I'm saying that June, July, August, September are stronger than October on.
Interesting. Because I'm usually, my observation is once you hit July, things start to slow down, July, August. And then there's the bump in September. I feel like that goes into October, but November, December dead. So, you're kind of, and I agree with you. If you were to split the year into 2 halves, we've got the spring, I guess late spring into early fall, and then the winter and late fall and early winter, and winter and early spring. And those are 2 very opposite markets. But we have that dip in the middle in the summer.
So maybe they're trying like for the last 6 weeks of May and July or June.
Yeah.
Before July hits.
Yeah.
So we're looking at a higher though list to sale ratio, which is good. 43.86% over 38 last Monday.
Yeah. Which says that more properties comparatively speaking, for every listing that's listing, there's more properties selling. So that's good. 43%, almost 44%. So that's good.
Somebody once said to me, which I think is a good point, if you look at what's sold over the past month, how do you get on that list?
Yes. And that's when you're talking to your clients, and they're saying, well, I can always, negotiate my price down. I don't need to reduce my price because I can always negotiate it down or what have you. You need to show them, it's helpful to show them that, of the properties that have sold that are like yours, let's say it's a townhouse in a Esquimalt, under 800,000. There's only been 3 sales in the last 3 months, let's say, that meet that category. So what you're talking about is 1 sale a month. And yet there's like 5 listings on market that meet that criteria. So you've got currently a 1 in 5 chance every month of being the seller. And people are always going to come along. And if they're always undercutting you for price, you're going to be on market a lot longer than 5 months, because there's always somebody new coming into the market as well. So for people to understand that's a little bit of a hard one for some people to get their heads around.
I find
it's
like
simple,
as sellers. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying it's simple to get your head around, but it's also hard for some people to see.
I think for sellers, they're mostly concerned at the beginning of their listing of what's in it for me. And they tend to hold the hard line without realizing that, they need to maybe be a little more flexible and figure out where they rank. And I think that refers back to the discussion that they have with their agent of where they fit in the market. So if somebody has $800,000 to spend, they're going to look at what's in the market, what fits their criteria in terms of bedrooms and bathrooms, where is the finishing relative to each other, and where do you fit in? And if you're not in that top 5, then they're not even going to consider you.
No, there's always, because if there's 5 better options to choose from at all times, you're on the never never plan, right? You're never going to sell. So guess when you said sellers, when they first list, are in the mindset of what's in it for me, I think what you're saying is they are not necessarily thinking about it from the buyer's perspective. They're thinking about what their needs are, which is, there's a whole reason for selling is based on their needs. There's nothing wrong with this. You've got needs. You put your property on market and you're hoping for the best buyer to come along. And you certainly don't want to, I mean, the big fear that every seller has is they leave money on the table. So they don't ever want to list too low, have it sell. And that's catch-22, because a quick sale is the perfect end result, right? It's less showings, less stress, less activity. You can just move on with your life. But you want that, and you want to make sure you've got, and feel confident you got, not necessarily like top dollar or reasonable dollar. And that's a hard one for them to feel like they got unless they tested the market.
Right. And so I think as a listing agent, what you need to do is reassure them that you have some ways of mitigating that you can ensure that first of all, there's arm's length happening when somebody writes an offer, that the marketing has reached enough people so that the market has been tested. And then when the offers come in, that everybody's notified so that anybody who is interested can write an offer. I mean, I was involved in an offer process on the weekend. They got 4 offers. We were one of the buyers who didn't. We came in at full price and I was told we had a crappy offer.
Right.
That's because the listing agent listed it at a price to sell and in an area where things either go really fast or they sit on the market a long time. I'll let you figure that area out.
And did they actually say crappy offer? I mean, in so many words, because you brought a full price offer. That's a great offer in any day of the week. They just had other offers that were better.
Yep.
Yeah.
We were number 3 of 4, I'm told.
Okay. Well, and that's the other side of it. Buyers also need to consider how often are the properties they like coming up, and how hard is it to find the next one, and what are the chances that by, is it worth losing by $5,000, or is it worth paying $5,000 more so that they can just get on with their lives and have the right home for their family for the next 20 years, if that's their choice, because some people are looking for the forever home. Like, what's $5,000 or $10,000 at that point?
Okay, so here's an interesting conundrum. It didn't happen in Victoria, but it happened to one of my clients buying elsewhere. So they wrote an offer, and they weren't the highest price offer.
Yeah.
They wrote, I'm pretty sure they wrote full price, but they weren't the highest price offer, but they had the most conditions. So the seller went for assuredness that the offer was going to go through as opposed to price.
Sorry, your clients did not have the highest price offer and also had the most conditions?
They had the highest price offer,
but they had conditions.
And the seller took an offer that was priced less high.
Yeah.
Because it had no conditions. So this is like, it speaks to the fact that there are 5 elements of the offer, right? Price, deposit, dates, terms and conditions, and inclusions.
Parties? Oh, inclusions. I've always felt, and I fantasize about one day, the automated offer kind of process where the seller can plug in that, certain dates have a certain monetary value to them. Certain conditions have a certain monetary value to them, so that that if you forego your financing condition, the seller is going to value your offer relative to other offers.
I get
a certain
it.
amount.
That's a great.
So in someday in future, when you're making an offer, you can say to your clients, your offer is the equivalent of this offer this way. I'll tell you one thing I learned one time too, after losing out, when my clients wrote an offer like yours that was higher, but had conditions. We lost out to one that was lower, but with conditions. lower, but with no conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And my client said to me, we would have paid lower with no conditions because our risk, we added that price for the risk. Like we wanted, if we were going to pay that extra price, we wanted the opportunity to do our due diligence, but we would have paid less and had no conditions, because we felt like we were covering the risk. And I realized I got to write 2 offers in that kind of scenario. And hey, realtors watching this right now, that's something you can do. You can write 2 offers and submit them both when you're competing. One with the price with conditions, one with the price without. Let the seller decide. And then you're not in that situation where you've lost out because the client wanted you might still lose. There's still somebody else who might have paid higher.
I had a realtor suggest to me when we wrote an offer that we could come down in price if we took off our conditions.
You could counter on price. Did you say?
So we submitted a second offer with no conditions because we realized, like, for $25,000, it was worth having no conditions. But this was like 10 years ago.
Yeah. And you also have to be really careful with this when you have the agent representing the seller saying, we would like you to have no conditions, because then you
wonder if there's an issue.
What is there something being hidden? And you need to really be careful there.
Right. But the justification from the buyer was there was nothing that was $25,000 or more
that they would be concerned about. Yeah. Yeah.
And they're still there.
It takes a lot to come. Yeah. Yeah. Good. So there you go.
You know what? I've never done that as a listing agent. I've never done that because I feel like I would be in conflict with my client's wishes. But if the client said to me, here's an opportunity, you can go back to them and say this, then I'd follow their instructions, but I haven't done that myself.
People are sometimes so motivated for that. I mean, we now have the rescission period, so it's really not a done deal until 3 business days after acceptance, even if it's unconditional. But that subjective, there are clients who are anxious, or they have, for whatever reason, they need to know that they've got that sale buttoned up and complete. And 2 weeks of conditions versus, I'll buy it. The seller might be looking at an offer and saying, yeah, I could work with this offer, or I'd work with even less if I knew that I had an answer today instead of an answer in 2 weeks.
Yeah. And I think
sorry, I'm laughing because we said this was going to be a short one, and here we are 20 minutes. We never know what we're going to talk about.
Well, I was going to say, I think it speaks to having a really good conversation with the listing agent as to what's important for the seller. Yeah. And so if something being a sure thing is more important than price, or that it's going to go through, or that, even if you have a long closing date, but you're going to make sure that you have a high deposit. I've had buyers who have been on the receiving end of an offer say to me, I don't understand the importance of a deposit. It just goes towards a purchase price, but it's the second number, and it's the assuredness that it's the guarantee, it's the pain point that a buyer has to pay if they don't.
I see it as the hurdle, or it shows that this buyer has reached a point where they've, like, if a buyer is saying, I can only put $1,000 deposit up, or a $5,000 deposit up, it's forecasting to the seller that this buyer does not have money until a later date for whatever reason. They don't have the capacity or the inclination to stand behind their offer. And whereas on the other side of that, if someone's putting $100,000 deposit up, that's almost overkill, but it speaks to the fact that they are serious about this property. And if I was looking at 2 different offers with everything else being the same, I'm going to, the one with the higher deposit is a better position for the seller, because if they do, even if it's a quick close and very low risk of anything falling apart, that just gives that extra layer of security. So it does speak a lot. I think it tells a lot, and it's a good strategy to make sure you have that conversation with your buyer about the importance of the deposit.
And on the other hand, if you're going to lowball, don't offer a large deposit because you're sending a mixed message.
I guess so. I mean, sometimes it's more, I'm willing to walk away. I have the money, and this is the money I'm going to offer. I agree with you to a degree, but at the same time, if it is what it is, and the buyer has walk away power, then showing a high deposit and a low amount and low conditions is essentially saying, I'm giving you a really attractive offer on many levels. The only unattractive thing is price, but I'm mitigating that with everything else.
Yeah. So again, it goes to how you couch when you approach the listing agent, the offer.
Yeah. And so that's going back to that. One of the pet peeves, I guess, I have in this industry is trying to reach the listing agent and find out what are the seller's needs, right? And we do have an obligation to, as realtors representing a seller, to not disclose, their
personal information,
their personal information or their motivations or what have you. And yet at the same time, there's a conversation and some permissions to receive from your clients, ideally in writing, because that's technically the rules, about what you can disclose. And so when I'm approaching that agent, like, why? It's nothing more frustrating than writing an offer. It's telling the agent you're going to bring an offer, going through the trouble with your clients to talk about dates and everything and writing the offer, and only for them to get back to you and say, well, my clients need really specific dates. And they need this thing excluded from the contract, and they need that, and they need the other. Why didn't you just tell us that to begin with? Because we could have then crafted our offer with that in mind.
But I think, though, what that speaks to is that the seller isn't really clear about what they want. And it's only when the question's asked. And I think a lot of people don't, first of all, they don't put their feet in the other person's shoes and think, okay, you know what, I should provide clarity on this. And I mean, I'm in a situation right now with a listing where I'm going to have to probably get 3 months clear notice. And so, I'm going to communicate that when any offer comes in, that this is what we're looking at, because that will make everything easier for both the buyers and the sellers. But am I going to advertise it in the listing ahead of time? No, I'm not.
So tenanted property and it's tenanted for the whole house. So if someone wanted to buy it not as a rental, they need 3 months clear notice. That's what you're referring to.
Sort of. I'm not saying anything more, but
okay, fair. But the point is that there's certain things that we need to disclose, and there's other things that we don't want to preview necessarily. It's not anybody's business until they're ready to do business.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes I find buyers right now, people who are asking, some people who have analysis paralysis, and they're asking questions for the sake of asking questions because they're curious, not because they're interested in the property. And I call these kind of door knockers or tire kickers. Or looky-loos. They're just curious.
Do you have any other names?
Real estate mavens who want to know everything about what's happening with the property, but they don't want to write an offer on it. So they're just curious. And, what we have to do as agents is really look into the weeds and see who is sincere in writing an offer and who's just curious. Because I'm finding now, I'm getting people who have the time and the energy to do the research, but they're not necessarily ready to make a decision. So they're frustrated.
Paralysis is strong in this market.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go over what's happening this month to date, Andrew.
Okay, so we are May 26th, so most of the way through the month. And as of May 26th, we have 548 net unconditional sales, and that's compared to 758 for the full month of May last year. So far, we have 1,363 new listings versus 1,834 for the full month of May last year. definitely not going to reach equity on that one for sure. Net unconditional sales, also that 548, 758, probably, well, there's a chance we make it, but we'll probably be under last year's numbers for net unconditional sales. Definitely, I would say for new listings, I would expect. Total active listings, we are getting close to that 4,000 number, folks. So that's interesting. 3,943 total active listings. And at the end of the month in May last year, we had 3,717.
So I'm just looking at these ratios here. Net unconditional sales, we're at 72%, and new listings were at 74% from last year. So relatively speaking, proportionately we're okay, but we're below where we were last year. So I'm actually encouraged.
Okay. So you're saying, we're 3 weeks at the 26th. We actually are, 3 weeks into the month. And so we've got another one, little more, but we've got a little less than a week left, but at 75% round figure, we could meet these numbers. And I do find we're still possibly, things could accelerate. Okay. So that's good. Okay. So, we are the Greater Victoria Real Estate Show, and that's Jane and myself and Jen Lowe. And we really hope that you like what we're doing. So please do give us a like. And we also hope you like it so much that you will subscribe and watch for our latest publications. Please do comment and please do share. Anything you want to add to that, Jane?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm Andrew Plank. I'm with the Vibe Collective at Royal LePage. And we're here to serve you. You are welcome to reach out to me. I'm at 250-360-6106. My email is info@andrewplank.com. The website is andrewplank.com. And we also have the Real Vibe, the Vibe Collective website is realvibe.ca.
And if you want to reach Jen, you can reach her. She's normally here, but she's at a meeting this evening. Her number is 250-217-4925. She's Jen at jenlow.ca, and you can visit her on her website, get her cool mortgage app at jenlow.ca. And I'm Jane Johnston. I'm with the Briar Hill Group. My number is 250-744-0775. You can reach me at jane@briarhillgroup.com. Visit us, me and Sean, at briarhillgroup.com. And just to reiterate, Andrew's with Royal LePage. I'm with Remax, and you can follow me on Instagram at realtyteacher_Remax_Victoria. And we are on every Tuesday, normally in the afternoon. And I just want to express gratitude for Andrew for showing up when I called him at 8 o'clock and said, do you want to be on the show today?
Do you want to do this anyway? Yeah, let's do it. Thanks for the call. Yeah.
All right. So we'll see you next week. Take care, everybody. Have a great week. We'll be doing our market update. Bye-bye.
Exciting. Okay. See you later.
See ya. Thanks for joining us on the Greater Victoria Real Estate Show.
We're here weekly, bringing you up-to-date insights on the Greater Victoria real estate market.
Make sure to follow and subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, and wherever you listen to podcasts so you'll never miss an update.
We'll be back next week with more clarity around what's happening and what it means for you.